hit join.
You're connected, Louis.
Oh, okay. How you doing?
Good. Just trying to get everything set up. I just got the YouTube stream started. I
Okay.
think Dirk is going to be on in just a minute, and I think the agenda has been distributed. You got connected successfully, so I think everybody got the invite.
Yes. Yeah, and I can actually hear you speaking, whereas the last couple meetings I've had trouble with that.
And
Hearing hearing anybody for that matter.
And Louis, I would also just say, with your microphone, you've been kind of cutting in and out on previous meetings, and I can hear you loud and clear this time.
All right. Yeah, I just I have my son sitting next to me, and he's kind of been adjusting the incoming and outgoing volumes. So I think that might have had a little bit to do with it.
Yeah, you're coming in loud and clear this time.
Perfect. Appreciate it.
Normally you can see.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure I'll be able to.
Steve, I see you got a copy of the agenda.
Yeah, I had one. I couldn't find it, and I was kind of in a hurry, and so I thought maybe I would ask for you to resend it, but no big deal. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Wanted to make sure everybody got what they needed. This was kind of a last minute scramble to get this set up.
Yeah, I hear you.
Can you hear me, Steve?
Yes.
Okay. Can you see me
Is
too?
that? Nope.
No. Okay.
Is that Mark?
That's Mark. There we're
Hey,
at.
Mark. Hey.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me?
Louis,
I hear you this time.
Yeah. I have a tech savvy person sitting behind me.
Yeah. Probably 12 years old.
A little bit older, but yep.
Okay.
Booby boo. That's a very small picture. Hey,
Hey, uh, that's better.
Dirk, that virtual background always makes you look like Max Headroom.
it does actually. That's the perfect way to put it.
Like a 70s, a 70s MTV or an
Yeah.
80s MTV.
Yeah.
Let's do some mic checks while we're waiting.
We did.
How's my mic?
Oh, good.
Coming in loud and clear, Chuck.
Excellent.
Galen, are we broadcasting yet?
Yeah, we're up on YouTube right now.
Excellent.
And Chuck, I've never asked, but if anybody was ever curious, I've been saving the analytics on YouTube after each meeting. Just shows you how many people were watching and how many at any given time.
If you could share that with all of us after the meetings, that would be great.
Absolutely.
Galen, you want to read the intro thing?
Are you talking about the virtual meeting script?
Yeah.
Sure. Give me 1 sec to locate it.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Hey, John.
Good morning, John.
Morning. Not even morning in my world.
Dirk, would we be requesting the council to adopt these procedures for future virtual meetings, or am I just reading the script?
Go right ahead. No, just read the script. We'll adopt it next time. I think we already adopted it, but just read the script.
I don't believe we ever did.
Okay, so just read the script.
It's likely to run out anyway.
Yeah, we'll adopt it at a regular meeting.
New case count update just in. Marathon's up to 32, 270 countywide.
Yep. All right. If everybody's ready, I'd like
I
to
think
call
we're
this, sorry,
I think we're missing Doc.
Well.
Zeke just joined.
He's connecting.
Oh, okay. Apologies. Go ahead.
Doc, are you on?
Yes,
All right. This is the City of Marathon virtual special call meeting, Wednesday, July 1st, 2020, 1 p.m. I would like to call this meeting to order. Let's please rise and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
Pledge allegiance
to the
To the flag
of the United
States of America,
to the
to the
republic
republic
for which it
which it
stands,
stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty and
liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, gentlemen and ladies. I think we need a roll call at this time. Diane, are you on?
She's
All
having
right.
troubles with her phone right now.
Let's see.
Diane just asked
Dirk.
to send the link
Dirk,
again.
would you do the roll call, please?
sir.
Or Galen?
Okay. Councilman Sin Martin? Councilman Zieg?
Here,
Councilman Bartis?
Here,
Vice Mayor Gonzalez?
Here,
And Mayor Cook?
Present. Thank you. All right, our first and only action and or discussion today is on the city-sponsored fireworks. And for that, I will treat this as a similarly to a normal meeting where we throw to the city manager for a city manager's report. Mr.
Point of
Lindsay.
order,
Yes.
Mr. Mayor. I was having Mr. Jones read the virtual intro.
Very well. I suspend.
This is the procedure for public comment during the city's virtual council meeting. The material for each item on the agenda is available during business hours at the city clerk's office and online 24 hours a day at www.ci.marathon.fl.us. Any person who wishes to make public comment during this meeting may be heard by the city council through the mayor for not more than 2 minutes on any proposition before the city council, unless modified by the mayor. Since this is a virtual meeting as authorized by the governor of the state of Florida, members of the public wishing to address the body may do so by calling 305-289-4130 or emailing cityofmarathon@ci.marathon.fl.us with your name, address, and agenda number of the items you wish to comment on, along with a phone number where you can be reached after 4 p.m. on May 12th, July 1st, 2020. Any member of the public wishing to comment on items not on the agenda may make their comment known to the council by emailing council@ci.marathon.fl.us or submitting the comment to the Dropbox maintained at City Hall no later than 4 hours prior to the meeting. All comments submitted will be included as part of the public record for this virtual meeting and will be considered by the city council only prior to any action taken. When addressing the city council, the member of the public must first state his or her name, his or her address, and what item will be spoken about. Anyone wishing to appeal any decision made by the city council for any matter considered at this meeting may need a verbatim record of this item. A video of this meeting may be requested after the meeting by emailing cityofmarathon@ci.marathon.fl.us and may be viewed live by navigating to the YouTube link attached to the city's agenda. Please silence all cell phones and other noise-making devices. Any person with a disability requiring assistance, auxiliary aids, and services for this meeting may notify the city clerk. Please note that council members have generally been briefed by city staff and the city attorney on agenda items today. With that, I will turn it back over to Mayor Cook.
All right, thank you, Mr. Jones. As stated before, the city-sponsored fireworks is the only topic today. And as previously stated, I will run this as if it is a city manager report. Since the EPG called this meeting, it matters not who starts it, but as Mr. Lindsay is basically our ops, this is his wheelhouse. I would like him to get the discussion started, please. Mr. Lindsay.
Thank you, sir. Well, I mean, everyone knows, right? Difficult times call for difficult decisions. And throughout this entire COVID crisis, we've been faced with one tough decision after another. All of us have. This isn't an easy one to talk about, but it's one that should absolutely be discussed and made with a lot of thought and careful consideration. I really wanted to start this with really emphasizing that I'm very thankful. Thankful for your guys' leadership to be in a position to have this opportunity and have this discussion, because we could have taken the easy road months ago and just canceled this thing arbitrarily. But today we're in a position because we've given ourselves the ability to make the best decisions we can with the most accurate information at the time. And today, with the latest information we have, especially over this last week, it dictates that we revisit this together, that we talk about it, we deliberate on it, and we make some decisions. So with that, I'll hand it to you, sir, unless you have any questions. Mr. Mayor, you're muted.
Yeah, I really never do that. First off, I think I would like to engage our guests. I see the MCSO is present. I'm looking to see if we have any of the other law enforcement agencies on. It doesn't appear so. So if I could hear from MCSO to what their thoughts on this, what their advice is on this, given their situation of having to monitor and maintain order in these places. We're throwing a lot at them. Can we hear from you, either Mr. Captain Hiller or DB or
Sure. Good afternoon.
Ms. Spark?
We've been discussing this as our team has been pretty much has a plan every year, like most of the events that we were able to pretty much plan in advance to know what we need body wise and where, what we're going to be doing. This is an unknown this year. We're kind of ad-libbing as we go. We don't know what to expect, except last weekend kind of gave us an example of what we might be expecting. We had extremely heavy traffic. It seemed to be out of town traffic at the beach last weekend, and extensive traffic and issues there. And it seemed to be a lot of out of town peoples that were visiting us. But if that's the case, and we plan on doing it, we just have different hurdles that we're going to have to jump that we don't know about. The main thing is, the additional mass parking, people trying to find a spot to see it. Still going to the beach area, parking in areas and neighbors' yards, and we'll be responding to a ton of those calls, I'm positive. So with closing on the beach, closing down the whole parking lot area and everything, I still think you're going to have a mass draw of people that are going to go to the location to try and see it because it's only common sense. And we would have to deal with those challenges.
All right. Thank you for that. It's standby for conversation, because once the council speaks, they may ask you directly as well. I'd like to, I guess, ask any staff of the city staff's problems that they can imagine. Is there anyone? No?
Yeah.
Or did you?
Mr.
feel like
Mayor,
you covered that?
again, I'm on the same page as the sheriff's office. This is an anomaly. I believe that the influx of people like was shown last week, especially out of towners from all over, especially if we are the only, I don't want to use the word show in the area, it is going to be a challenge to manage. And that's all I got to say at this time. I'm open to any questions.
All right. Legal opinion. You're muted.
I know, I'm sorry about that. Legally speaking, you have the complete ability to make this call. There's no more associated liability than there would be with any other event. We don't have any additional legal hurdles to deal with. I will say that the council's being put in a very difficult situation because if we were able to pull this off successfully, the council would be heroes for being able to celebrate America's birthday when no one else could. The other side of the coin is if we have problems, people are going to think that it was obvious that we should have canceled. So I do not envy your decision, council members. I think it's a difficult one that you could be heroes, or you could be, looked upon as not the brightest city in Monroe County.
All right. Council, let's hear from you.
Mr. Cook?
Vice
Mr. Mayor.
Mayor.
Yeah, I'd like to start off and just, first of all, I want to thank the citizens that have taken the time to reach out to me for about the last 10 days and letting me know their thoughts on what they feel about the 4th of July fireworks celebration. But I gotta agree with the chief. There is no other fireworks show in the county. For that matter, I don't know if there's even one taking place in Dade County. So we are going to be the only show in Monroe County. And with the large amount of people that are going to be flooding our neighborhoods, this is going to create a huge issue for traffic, for crowds on the roads, for the release of personal fireworks within close proximity to others on our streets. This is going to create a tremendous impact on our fire, EMT, and sheriff department. That's just going to cause a terrible undue burden. But having said that, I just have one question for the chief, and for that matter, Captain Hiller could chime in as well. I want to put the scenario out there that you're having to respond to an emergency on Sombrero Isle. What is your normal response time to Sombrero Isle for somebody that's having a heart attack?
Our normal response time out to that area is between 4 and 5 minutes at the longest.
Okay, perfect. Based on the situation that we're about to put ourselves in, with the crowds on the roads, children letting off fireworks, cars on both sides of the street parked, everything going on, what kind of response time can you have to somebody having a heart attack on Sombrero Isle under those conditions?
Unfortunately, I cannot answer that question due to the fact that we don't know what kind of crowds, what kind of delays, what kind of everything is, but there will be probably a delay. So, and again, with the influx of people, it's not just a delay running one call from the station out there, but the multiple calls that are going on and having available units.
Okay. So in your opinion, is this a risk that we should take or not take?
Again, I'm going to leave that up to the wisdom of the council.
Okay, perfect. Chuck, would you like to chime in?
Yeah, I'd be happy to, sir. This is first of all, I commend all of you for having this discussion, right? It would be really easy to not. I think our community is divided on this. I'm sure we're all divided on this. I kind of wanted to, I thought long last night about how to address this. And, I want to tell you that as a veteran of over 20 years, a father who's very proud of our country and trying to raise my son to be very proud of our country, I believe there's no greater day of the year, right? Our Independence Day to me is the most incredible day of the year. And in my opinion, it should be always celebrated, especially during our darkest hours. Okay. However, as a leader, and I'm, as a leader and as a manager, I'm extremely self-aware, and that I know that I have tremendous bias. Okay. I have a lot of bias that has been built over many, many years, especially serving my country. And that bias needs to be removed, especially when I'm entrusted and we're all entrusted to make decisions that affect the safety and security of other people. So I could sit here, guys, and convince you to believe what I believe, but I think that would be very, very irresponsible. I think as your city manager, like you, we're entrusted with the safety and these tough decisions. And along with the fire chief, we have to make our decisions based on the amount of risk, and even more importantly, our ability to mitigate that risk, right? And to lower that risk, first we have to be open and honest about our biases. And I just shared that with you because I want you to know how I feel as a person, as an American, as a veteran. But secondly, right, we need to review the most up-to-date information. We need to use what's available to us to identify potential pitfalls, to try to create solutions to those pitfalls before we make these decisions. And looking at our current situation, a lot has changed since the last time we met on this. Heck, a lot has changed just over the last week alone. John had mentioned, he had just heard, and he's correct, we've got 32 cases in Marathon as of today. Our case numbers up to is 148% more than it was on June 1st. It's gone up 43% just in the last week. Now, I don't want to create any fear or alarm because our death rate is low and that number of hospitalizations is low. But the fact of the matter is that the case numbers are rising. Okay. More importantly, over the last week, Key Largo, Key West, and almost all government-sponsored fireworks shows in South Florida have been canceled. We just got a report yesterday that many, if not most, of all the boat ramps north of us will be closed for the weekend. We've got our state parks that are reporting that they're going to close to new guests starting on Thursday. There's heavy restrictions being placed on Indian Key Phil right now. I don't know if it's true, but I heard that it was going to be closed, which is going to drive even more folks down to us. Our resources in the Keys are always traditionally limited. Louis, you hit the nail on the head with that, right? Our resources are always limited. This weekend, it's going to be tough. And lastly, I hate to say it, but no matter what we do as government, right, we cannot control irresponsible behavior, right? We can react to it. We can try to lessen it. We can enforce rules that try to punish for it, but we cannot control it completely. And I'll be honest, over the last week, the actions that I've seen at our beaches and our boat ramps, guys, it's atrocious. I don't know how else to say it. I do not believe that it's the actions of our residents, and in most cases, I know that it's not. But it's atrocious. So from a risk management perspective, as your manager, I can't guarantee a high probability of success mitigating this risk, right? I can't guarantee, a high probability of public safety. We can never get to 100%, but there's too many uncertainties right now with everything that's changed over the last week. And it is the hardest thing I've ever had, I've ever had to think about is, because it goes against every fiber of my being that we should, that I would recommend that we just postpone this to a later date. From a risk management perspective, I don't think that we can get to a number that I would feel comfortable to give you a thumbs up on it. That's my opinion. Sorry for being long-winded, but that's my thoughts on it.
Mr. Mayor.
I know. Well, Bartis was next up. You're next after Bartis, Doc.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I've been involved in every 4th of July celebration since we incorporated, and a whole bunch of them for this. More than 30 years, I knew where I was going to be every July 4th, and that was on Sombrero Beach. And I just want to go for a quote from John Adams, our second president, who was also one of the signers of the Declaration of Independence. who said, "I am apt to believe that it will be celebrated by succeeding generations as the great anniversary festival. It ought to be commemorated as the day of deliverance by solemn acts of devotion to God Almighty. It ought to be solemnized with pomp and parade, with shows, games, sports, guns, bells, bonfires, and illuminations from one end of this continent to the other, from this time forward forevermore." And nothing really stirs the heart and stirs the passions of patriotism much more than fireworks in July 4th. It's a celebration of who we are as Americans. It's a celebration of our very success as a nation. And I said, I've been involved in every one. I want to say, again, an incredible shout out to Randy Murrens and all his pyrotechnicians for the job they have done every year. That being said, one question before I finish off here. Do we know did we get any information from FWC officers on this?
I haven't seen.
John, in my meeting with FWC, they're already seeing incredibly high numbers of voters, many more than usual. They're seeing them in the upper keys, the middle keys. Folks are actually transiting down with their boats, especially when we have the checkpoint up. But they are anticipating obviously a lot of folks out on the water. Obviously, with my post background, I can tell you that traditionally we probably would be able to respond to this with five boats, 5 or 6 boats. That includes Coast Guard, FWC, our Marine Patrol boat, and maybe a couple jet skis. But when you start talking about hundreds and hundreds of boats, that's a minimal number. So FWC did have a little bit of concern about the safety and security for the event.
All right, thanks, Chuck. I appreciate that. I also would like the Vice Mayor did, to thank very much all the people who sent in comments via email, via text, phone calls, and there's a lot of really good arguments on both sides of this issue. So this has not been necessarily an easy decision to make, but it really is about making the right decision. But I will also then like to follow up with a comment about some of the posts that I have seen, which are just absolutely incredulous. This is a quote from Isaac Asimov. "There's a cult of ignorance in the United States, and there has always been. The strain of anti-intellectualism has been a constant thread winding its way through our political and cultural life, nurtured by the false notion that democracy means that my ignorance is just as good as your knowledge." And there have been some doozies of posts by Facebook certified experts in epidemiology and constitutional law. And I just want to read one text that I got today. This is an actual text. "Keep the fireworks. No one can get COVID-19. Don't take away our freedom. Don't let Antifa and China and the fear mongers win." Well, I don't think that there's anybody from Antifa or China that are really influencing this decision that's in front of us here today. So I just want to say that I side with public safety, as you have to when you sit in this seat. I side with the people who are actually putting themselves on the line, our first responders, our people that are on the front lines of this. And, 3 weeks ago, we were looking at a full 4th of July. Things have changed. 270 case count now in Monroe County, 32 in Marathon. And we also have a lot of visitors from our neighboring counties to the north who don't believe necessarily in wearing masks or taking other safety and social distancing precautions. So with that being said, I just don't think that I can support going forward with July 4th fireworks. On July 4th, I think we should save them as a city and as a community to a time when we might be able to declare independence from COVID-19, come together as a community and have a really, really big celebration. And with that, I'll yield the floor, Mr. Mayor.
All right, Doc Zig, you are next.
Thank you very much. I came into this meeting with the idea that we should go ahead and have the fireworks for the benefit of our residents, because it's been a very tough 3 or 4 months mentally, physically, financially for all of our residents. I think that there is a way to set up a checkpoint at the high school by the MCSO to turn people back so that neighborhood would not be run over or overrun perhaps, and allow people then to park at either the high school or at Winn-Dixie. But having heard the input from the sheriff's office and from Chief Johnson, instead of there being two decisions to make, whether we have the fireworks or whether we don't, I think the compromise, as initiated by John, is that we postpone them to a time certain when we can do things safely. We can do it in a controlled manner. And my suggestion would be that we could perhaps do it as soon as 2 or 3 weeks from now. But we don't know about how long this COVID cloud is going to hang over us. The one thing that I do want to repeat, though, that our city manager said is, yes, the number of cases, the number of positive cases are going up, but the death rate and the hospitalizations have remained very, very low. So my suggestion would be that we pick out a time to postpone the celebration for our country. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. San Martin, how about you?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Look, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say what I think everybody is thinking here in the entire sound of my voice, and that's we need to have some fireworks. Everybody wants the fireworks. It would be great to have the fireworks. I think everybody can agree on that. Now, we got to snap back to reality a little bit. If we are going to have the beaches closed, the only way to get out there is by boat or for the people who live close by. But then we want to set up this, military type checkpoint and only let the people who live back there go back there. Doesn't seem fair, doesn't seem equal to anybody. Everybody fireworks. I think everybody should be able to enjoy them. All that aside, I've heard that FWC, Coast Guard, everybody's going to have a hard time with enforcement of actually just keeping safety in mind. They're not going to be able to control all the traffic by boat. I just don't see it as really working out. The fact of the matter is, and I guess I'm going to be the one to come out and say it, is the county kind of dropped the ball on this whole thing by opening up the floodgates wide open instead of, cracking them open at a time. And we are in what we are in. So now we've got to make the best with what we've got. And unfortunately, like Chuck said earlier, people they're not listening. They're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're not keeping their social distance. They're not wearing masks in public. They're just, and it's not even the locals, it's all the guests, all the visitors. We love them. We need them, but they're killing us right now. So that's where we are. And I hate to say it, and I really, really, really do not want to cancel fireworks. But it seems like it's the best, smartest move for us at this time. I would love to, postpone them. I don't think 3 weeks is reasonable, but, maybe by the time we have our city celebration or New Year's, whenever the data says that it makes sense. If it's in a time when there's less people here and it's more for the locals, it's even better, I think. But the city of Marathon has been data driven on all of the decisions that have been made with this whole episode. And we're not the county, and we're not running ourselves off of what somebody says on Facebook. So unfortunately, I think this is in the best interest of everybody. And I've got my friends that are, texting me, yelling me as this meeting is going on, telling me that I'm an idiot for not having the fireworks. But I'm sorry. I think that's where I am too.
All right. Thank you, sir. Before I have a comment, I'd like to ask anybody else on this call that is waiting to speak, if they would like to speak and have their comments.
Mayor Cook, Randy Mearns, can I speak?
Mr. Mearns, you are recognized.
Well, thank you, sir. I haven't missed the 4th of July in 42 years. And, I get a little goosebumps as I say that. And John said he's been there for 30. This is a very important part of our lives to pay tribute to our independence. But with that being said, a lot of what you guys have said is very true and right on the money. The Marathon Fireworks Show is developed into something a little bit more than that. And the people of the Marathon have historically been allowed to be as close to fireworks as you are legally allowed. If we move these folks down Sombrero Road and around the golf course and out the Winn-Dixie parking lot and all that, they're not going to be happy with the end result of the show. And as much as I hate to do it, I think that a postponement is probably the proper thing to do. I just believe that if we close the beach and we don't let the people go there, that we are going to tax the sheriff's department and the fire department way beyond their means to try to deal with what happens with those crowds out in the neighborhoods. So the fireworks, just for you guys to know, our fireworks come from a importer up in the Homestead area. They're in bunkers there. I can have fireworks at any time on very short notice. We can move this, and I'm totally in favor of moving this to a weekend in the fall, and probably not a holiday weekend, when we can put it back on the way we want to. We can throw a party out there and do it right for the local people who live here.
Thank you, Randy. Anybody else? All right.
Mr. Mayor,
Hearing, yes?
go ahead. I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt.
No, that's all right. I just wanted to give my thoughts, and then should there be a motion afterwards, then so be it. I also want to thank all of the people that have been, even what I consider to be somewhat irrational, but everybody has their own opinions. And I am so glad to see that we have a city with residents and visitors that feel so comfortable that they can engage their government. And I think that's a testament to all of us on this call, each and every one of us that does make themselves available to people so that they feel like they can, that they can talk to us, and there could be a change, and there could be something of value that came from them having a discussion with us. And those calls have been all over the place, as you well know. And up until about 2 hours ago, I was pretty well set on what I was going to do. And it's been tough. But it came down to when I was writing somebody, and one of what I consider to be an irrational. And I wrote this. I said, my love of this country and its founding isn't or shouldn't be about any one fireworks display. It is and should be about our freedom. Freedom from tyranny and injustice. But in this case, simply to have the freedom to make informed decisions and make the best choices we can. And so for that reason, I am in favor of postponing. So if there is a motion and
Mr.
no more
Mayor?
discussion, have at it. Who's called?
Louis.
Louis, Vice Mayor.
Mr. Mayor, based on everything that I've heard here today, I make a motion that we postpone the 4th of July fireworks show to a later date where we could accommodate everything in a safe manner.
Second.
Second.
Second by John Bardis and Doc Zieg. Somebody call the roll. Any discussion? Okay. Vice Mayor.
Vice Mayor Gonzalez,
Yes.
Councilmember Zig,
Yes.
Councilmember Bardis,
Yes.
Councilmember San Martin,
Yes.
Mayor Cook,
Yes.
motion carries.
Mr. Mayor?
Sir, Mr. Bardis.
It's a question, I guess, probably best set up because we're getting this on some of the text messages that are coming in through the Zoom channel here, questions about our boat ramps, or, people wanting to know if we're going to be closing down our boat ramps. Maybe Chuck or Sean could answer that question.
I don't mind weighing in on that. First of all, Dirk, is it okay? It's not a scheduled item for the meeting. Is it okay if we discuss it?
Yeah, two reasons why. The first reason is, even though it's not on the agenda, it's in the purview of the EPG. So even if you're not taking a vote, you don't need to necessarily amend the agenda unless, if you do after discussion, you can. But direction to staff and the EPG is probably enough, because it still
And
isn't
this-
within purview.
And this meeting is a public safety meeting, correct?
Yes, sir.
So, there we go.
Perfect. So, you know, I had mentioned in my comments, obviously, and you're well aware that, you know, a lot of boat ramps are being closed up north. We're being forced to react to the actions of others, right? And so the challenge that we have is that, you know, it's our ability to actually close them. And so if we close our boat ramps, it will make things nicer for some, but it will strongly disadvantage others. It'll disadvantage residents. It'll disadvantage our guests. Primarily, the hurdle that we're faced with right now is, you know, if we close our boat ramps, then, you know, you've got folks that have boats in the water that need to get them out. You have folks that'll be arriving that need to get them in. We already know that our boat ramps are going to be really bad this weekend. The sheriffs have got extra folks on it for us. They're going to be out in full force. Carlos knows that the contractor needs to make the quay available this weekend. The contractor's 3 weeks behind schedule on the quay. We did not anticipate that. So again, we're responding to the actions of others. So if we can get that quay open and we can get the sheriffs out at the boat ramps, it should be less impactful, but it is one of our busiest weekends of the year, and it's going to be even more busy being the only one this side of the 7 Mile Bridge with ramps open. That being said, I did speak with Roman yesterday, and he said the county was not closing their boat ramps west of us. So we'll continue to monitor it. The sheriffs have the ability, for safety reasons, if they want to recommend shutting something down, they can make that recommendation, and we'll see. We'll just see how it goes this weekend.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Sir, Mr. St. Martin.
So will
Wait one. Thank you. Please proceed.
Will the sheriff's department be stationed at the boat ramps, monitoring, controlling traffic over this insane coming weekend?
John, do you want to chime in?
We will be monitoring the boat ramps, depending on calls for service and whatnot. Yes, we will be monitoring the boat ramps on and off. If calls for service allow, we'll have people there pretty much during the busy times. Again, it depends on what happens with calls for service on that end, even with that.
Okay, so then might I suggest, city manager, if the sheriffs can't kind of guarantee that we're going to have some monitoring there, maybe we should look into paying an off-duty for this weekend until we can come up with a better system.
Yeah, we have no issue with paying any extra details. I know the sheriffs had an extra detail on last weekend. We really appreciate that. Don, if that's available, we'd be happy to take care of that.
Sir, we'll make it happen.
Thank you. Are there any other comments before we close? Mr. Jones,
May I
were
ask
there
a
any?
question?
I'm sorry, can you announce yourself?
Yes, my name is Dee Slate. We have a home in Key Colony Beach.
Go ahead.
I was just wondering if you're going to vote on this. We
Ma'am.
do need to get our boat in the water on Thursday or Friday, and I have people that need to take out their boat, and I need to advise them, do they need to find a private ramp, or if you guys are going to make a decision today so that I can advise them so that they can start looking for a place to at least take their boat out of the water.
Thank you for your comment.
Thank you.
Not sure what to say there. I mean, we just discussed the fact that they were staying open.
I'm sorry. I missed that. I thought that you were discussing keeping them open.
No, I'm sorry. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a nice day. Or was there anybody else that
Thank
was
you as
in
well.
line to speak? Mr. Jones, do we have anybody in the queue to speak?
Nobody that I'm aware of, Mayor Cook, and I have been forwarding the comments that have been in the YouTube chat as they come up.
Fair enough. Chuck, do you have anything else?
No, I just saw one of the comments that Galen forwarded. Someone asked, there's two questions. Someone asked if we could open the boat ramps to residents only. And then someone also asked what about the Harbor Drive boat ramp? So just for clarification, right now, all boat ramps are open. We're working with the Sheriff's Department on enforcement. Whether or not we can close our boat ramps in Marathon's a very difficult decision to make because there's a lot of variables that impacts a lot of people. Not just our residents and the folks that are in those immediate areas, which we know are very, very difficult. Many of us on this call live back on Aviation, off of Aviation Boulevard. As far as opening the ramps to residents only, that is a great idea, and I think that a lot of people would like that idea. But unfortunately, from a legal perspective, we just don't have that opportunity. So it is a good question, but we don't have the ability to do that.
Mr. San Martin.
Just one more point of clarification, because there seemed to be a lot of confusion on some of the Facebook posts as well concerning the parks. Although the beach is closed, I've confirmed with city manager, the beach is closed. The parks remain open unless it gets to a point where they are out of control, I guess you'd say. And at that point, we would have to take appropriate action. I just want to explain that, the fear is possibly that this message doesn't get to everybody in South Florida who's planning to come, and they all end up here looking for a beach that they can't find. And they're not just going to turn around and go home. They're going to look for a park. So while the parks will remain open, I just want everybody to understand they are open and they plan to stay open unless things get out of control. Then they may have to be closed.
All right. Thank you for that. John, as I see, do you have anything else? John Johnson.
I'm sorry.
As I see, did you have anything further before we close?
No, the only thing I can stress to everybody that is listening, again, it is going to be a very busy weekend. Please take care of yourselves. Make sure you're social distancing and properly protected with masks out there. And let's be smart as we can as citizens of Marathon and treat everybody with respect and each other to get through this pandemic. Thank you.
All right. As stated, we move forward with caution, not fear. At this point, if there is nothing further, I would like to adjourn this meeting. All right. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.